Okay. Again, being batted around all of the major news outlets. You get various different politicians, sides coming out, still talking about the importance, the need. We must fund Ukraine. It's a national imperative, trying to strike some sort of deal. Biden administration is afraid of the Hispanic caucus when it comes to the border and the rule of law. Republicans have got to get a win, okay? And they're waiting to see if Biden will cave on whatever type of forms are going to be put forward. But as we've said here, unlike the folks in the mainstream media that don't like to report on bullshit, we do. The Republican position is complete and utter bull excrement. It is. Again, it's just about saying that we got to win. We all know that if we enforce the rule of law here in this country, there wouldn't be a migrant problem. There wouldn't be one. I've explained this. Obama used this during his second term, where he called it prosecutorial discretion. He just chose not to enforce the law. We could put forward E-Verify. They could do a myriad of things, but they're not going to do it. So Republicans are hoping for some sort of BS deal with Biden that we all know they're not going to follow. They're not going to follow through on. It's not going to happen. Meanwhile, thousands and thousands and thousands of people continue to come across the border. The whole story is a joke. It is a horrible trade, and shame on Republicans if they fall for this. Again, it's an out. This is why I can't even believe it. I think at the last minute, you're going to probably get Biden to cave on some things because it allows a win, a fake win on both sides. So Republicans can go back home to their district and say, oh, look what we did when it came to the border. And it gives them an out if they don't want to send money to the Ukraine, or if they do want to. It's ridiculous. It's politics at its worst. But again, the media out there right now, in particular, Wall Street Journal, banging the drums day in, day out when it comes to Ukraine. And we need to send more money. We had yesterday had Bill Galston talking about now have to put some reform forward, need to get these negotiations going. It's going to be a terrible loss for Joe Biden on the heels of Afghanistan. Today, will America betray? That's what they're calling it. They're calling it betraying the Ukraine. Again, this is why our Constitution is important, and it's sad that we don't follow it and actually declare wars and conflicts. Because again, at the beginning, Putin is bad. We got to send aid. But when does it end? When does it end? And again, this editorial in the Wall Street Journal today, basically they came up and they said that if Ukraine loses, the blow to U.S. power and prestige would be on the order of us pulling out of Saigon in 1975. We went in to Vietnam on a BS premise. Did we ever declare war in Vietnam? Nope. 60,000 Americans were killed for nothing. And guess what? Nothing would have solved that problem. So we've already thrown in, well over $100 billion into the Ukraine. I don't know. You think we should send more? Do you honestly think it's going to make a difference? How is it going to make a difference? I see this was the problem from the get-go. And we, from the very beginning, have been critical of the entire operation, episode, whatever you want to call it. There's been a lot of weird things that have happened in the interim, from pipelines being blown up on through. If you're going to fight a war, you fight a war. You fight a war. Yeah, I mean, we We sent over, again, artillery shells and old tanks, and Europe sent a few things here and there. You really think that that's going to stop Moscow? I mean, honestly, do you think that we're going to hand over the weapons to the Ukraine that could actually target Moscow? No. No, that's not going to happen. And in the Wall Street Journal today piece saying, well, we made Ukraine, we took away all of their nuclear weapons post-Cold War. Now everybody's going to want to get them because the United States can't be trusted in defending countries. Whoa. Again, we're dealing with the Ukraine here, people. This is I've said it before, it's for all intents and purposes an African nation. And again, it's a sub-Saharan African, corrupt sub-Saharan African nation in the heart of Europe that's got, again, tons of natural resources, got everything in place to be a successful economy, yet it's the poorest in Europe. It's the most corrupt in Europe. And we're going to go there under the belief that if we don't, Vladimir Putin's going to take over the rest of Eastern Europe. I don't believe it. People do, though. And I've heard the arguments. I'm just not buying them. Ron Johnson was on Laura Ingram's program, Senator Ron Johnson, talking about this ridiculous, because it insults my intelligence, push for Ukrainian victory. No, I don't see it happening. Laura Ingram asks, she says, is this 8th grade? Let's start with them not losing. What are the American people gaining here? Senator Ron Johnson says, well, first of all, there's no strategy for Ukraine to win because it can't win. The only way they could win is they'd have to start lobbing missiles into Moscow to reduce Russia's support for the war. They can't do that. And Ingram, the Pentagon knows this, though, right? Johnson, yeah. The Pentagon knows that they've lost the war already. Johnson, this is 22 months. They tried. Some are offensive. It didn't work. This is a bloody stalemate. Every day that goes by, more Ukrainians die. More Russian conscripts die. I take no joy in that. More Ukraine gets destroyed. So this war should be brought to an end. The sooner the better, because every day the outcome ends up being worse. It's going to have to be a negotiated settlement. And from a standpoint of, you know what America wants? We want a secure border. And that's what. Again, how does you explain that? How does Ukraine win? And again, I'm getting this cost benefit analysis from certain people saying, well, we're decimating Russia's tanks, on the cheap. They have their own military industrial complex in Russia. They can replace everything that's being wrecked, and they're going to do it again. They're going to sell more oil. They're going to sell more, and they're just going to replace it. Ukraine doesn't have a shot at this. And again, from the get-go, when we said we're not going to negotiate, Zelensky's not going to negotiate. No, it's your only way out. You've got to figure out some sort of solution here. Again, I go to various different Eastern European papers, and one interview with another after insiders in the Ukrainian military government that are saying the same thing that Ron Johnson just said. It's not working. This is not going to work. Their offensive didn't work. So they're dug in again, another winter, trench warfare, a war of attrition that, quite frankly, unless we are planning on spending trillions with a T and an S, trillions over the next decade, 2 decades. You want to turn into an Afghanistan? We just did this. We just did this. And in Afghanistan, we had our men and women die over there as well. Are you willing? Is that what you want? Is it worth it? Because you think $100 billion is going to cut it? You people that are pushing for this additional, do you think $100 billion, a lot of it's going to be used to keep their government afloat and keep bureaucrats paid. You think that that's going to be the tipping point that's going to allow them to win? No. Once that 100 billion is gone, another 100 billion, another 500 billion, and they'll come up with some reason that we're all going to die, and Russia's going to be, submarines are going to pop up in the Gulf of Mexico and New York Harbor sooner rather than later. Sorry, I'm not buying what they're selling. WatchDog on WallStreet.com.